Hey everyone, it's Rod. Hey, recently looking at this situation, there's a police chief that resigns in Louisiana. He's Shreveport Police Chief Ben Raymond. I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, he recently resigned. He was asked to resign from council folks and the mayor in Louisiana, city in Louisiana. In part, he was asked to resign. Actually, he was asked to resign because the huge increase in violent crimes in this area. Violent crimes in his city is up 11%. So the mayor had asked him to resign. So this is the reason that the mayor gave, and then I'll go into the chief. He got a chance to talk to. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Thank you all for being here today for this very, very important public safety announcement. On June 2nd, I asked Chief Ben Raymond to step down as Chief of Police of the Shreveport Police Department. The safety of each and every citizen that calls Shreveport home has been my #1 priority since I took the oath of office as mayor. We are experiencing an inexcusable surge of violent crime in this particular moment. My #1 priority is focusing on the future and making sure that each and every citizen of Shreveport is as safe as possible. The police department needs change.
So in this situation, the mayor gave his reasons, that the insurgent crime, I don't think he gave the percentage, but it's up 11%. So something needs to be done, is what he's saying. And so they're going to start with changing new leadership. Now, it must be really hard for these two men to stand together, Chief Ben Raymond and the mayor, stand together, but they're doing it respectfully. The mayor acknowledges this chief and the work they've done and how he's been available. But for whatever reason, and actually it's not for whatever reasons, because the crime is up, they just don't think he's able to do this job. And I'll show you a video of Ben Raymond in just a second. But one of the points I've read about that he said, I heard him say, is that, you can't blame me for the crime that's increased by 11%. And then he went on to explain that the people that commit these crimes, not that he's pointing a finger or anything, but the people who commit these crimes have been Black men. And if we could prosecute these men to commit these crimes, that would be a deterrent. I believe that's what he had said. And it's almost a good point. But I wonder though, what's the relationship? One of my thoughts is, what is the relationship with the police and the community? Because he had said, if we could just prosecute these people, and it seems like they're not prosecuting. It seems like these people are getting away with these crimes or murder, and we can't have that. But it makes me wonder, what's the relationship with the police in this area, with this community? And I'm assuming it's a Black community. So what's the police relationship in this area? Because if you have a good relationship with the police and there's respect and there's a history there, then I'm guessing that, crimes will get solved. People will contact the police. They'll trust the police. They'll tell you who's doing these crimes, and then they can, solve these investigations. But if you are not, if you don't have a good relationship, if there's not a good history there, if there's abuses there with the police, or if there's a strained relationship there with the police, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just asking the question. If that is the case, then of course people aren't going to trust the police, and they're not going to feel comfortable sharing information. Even if it is a violent crime, they're not going to feel comfortable or safe sharing information with the police. They're not going to feel they trust the police. They're not going to feel like the police is part of the community and looking out for their best interests. I mean, all that plays into place. I was thinking about this the other day, actually today, is that, you can't just, in my opinion, police can't just police a community. There has to be a relationship there so they can solve, because I would imagine it's extremely rare that, particularly in a violent crime, that the police just going to happen to show up and be there as this crime is committed, so then they can take care of it. I would think the vast majority of crimes are after the fact, and the police show up later, and then they're relying on witnesses and cooperation from the community so they can help solve these crimes. And I just don't think that appears to be the case. But let's hear what the chief, Ben Raymond, has to say.
I appreciate the opportunity which was given to me nearly 3 years ago to lead the Shreveport Police Department. To say it has been a difficult road would no doubt be an understatement. My first full year as chief of police saw drastic reductions in crime to include both property and violent crimes. Then in 2020, we encountered a pandemic unlike any our nation has experienced in decades. In addition to the numerous responsibilities we faced on a daily basis, we had to deal with a new series of concerns regarding the spread of a deadly virus and the devastating impact it was having on our citizens, businesses, and economy as a whole. A reduction in qualified applicants and an increase in resignations and retirements began to negatively impact our ability to respond to calls for service and perform proactive enforcement aimed at reducing crime. Within weeks of the pandemic, law enforcement at a national level was thrust into the limelight due to a high-profile use of force incident. Soon thereafter, our agency had to deal with similar issues, calls for police reform, and weeks of protests. We worked closely with citizens to ensure their rights to the freedom of speech and freedom to peacefully assemble were supported and protected. At the same time, clear ground rules were set whereby violence and destruction of property would not be tolerated. The Shreveport Police Department's response to the public concerns during this time is to be commended. We did not see the violence and destruction that plagued many cities facing similar societal issues. Spikes in violent crime were the next order of events, and once again, Shreveport was not spared. Many cities in our nation saw historical increases in homicides and shootings. Combined with a shortage of public safety personnel and anti-law enforcement sentiment, violent crime has become a national crisis. Unfortunately, law enforcement as a whole, and law enforcement leaders in particular, have been blamed for these problems. Recently, legislation was introduced calling for a vote of no confidence in my leadership. To blame me as chief of police for the violent offenders roaming our streets is ludicrous. We do not blame the fire chief for businesses or houses which burn to the ground, not even those in horrific incidents in which lives are lost. We do not blame the Department of Transportation, Public Works, or Traffic Engineering when there's a fatality accident. The doctors and staff of our local hospitals are not being blamed for hundreds of lives being lost to COVID-19. Yet the response from some of our elected representatives is to blame those who are working tirelessly to solve and prevent violent crime in our city. As police officers, we will continue to arrest violent offenders, often multiple times, until the true problems within the criminal justice system are addressed. Individually, I will continue to do my part as a public safety professional who has dedicated his entire adult life to protecting the citizens of Shreveport.
Chief Ben Wayne gave his speech, his reason, and basically what he was saying, like I told you earlier, is that you can't. He says you can't blame me for this. COVID is the reason. We have 100 police short, some retirement, some left, whatever the reason is. So that's what he's saying. But the only thing is, though, what do you do in this situation, though? Because crime is up 11%. It's not just crime; it's violent crime is up 11%. What do you do? I kind of respect the mayor and the folks that voted that, we have to do something. It's a symptom of something. This crime is a symptom of something. What is going on here? We have to figure out something. So they started with the chief. And the thing is, when you're a leader and under your watch, if things are going haywire, well, guess what? You fall on a sword. It's just the way it is. It may not even be fair. It may not even be right. But when you are the leader, it's the way it is. But I do like the way this chief, Ben Raymond, he's going to take some time off. He still wants to police. He still wants to be a part of the team. He's getting off his chest. This is all good for this group. And you can just see, I feel like there's a respect here, mutual respect between the chief and the mayor. And then you're going to see in just a moment, I'm going to pull up the new chief, Wayne Smith, and his respectful approach and what they want to do, just to see what you think of that. But that kind of a spike is a symptom of some things. And I wonder, I'm just asking the question out loud, I wonder is it, I may have said this earlier in this video, but is it just a symptom of the relationship with the police and the citizens? Is that what it is? Because I think it feels like these crimes aren't getting reported to the police, or witnesses aren't coming forward or something like that. So these crimes are going unsolved. And to do that, I feel that it's the police and the citizens will probably have to work together, and they have to be some sort of trust in the community. If there's no trust in this community, then these crimes are going to go unsolved. Because if you don't trust the police is a powerful entity, and to approach a powerful entity, to go to a powerful entity, there has to be trust. And if you don't trust this powerful entity, you're gonna be afraid of that entity. You're gonna stay away from that entity, in my opinion. And so these crimes will go unsolved, and you won't feel like the police can protect you. Like, you report a crime, a violent crime, and if you don't trust or you're afraid of the police, you're not gonna say anything, because this violent offender, whoever it is, you're gonna be afraid of them, or whatever situation. I'm just guessing. But and then this area, from what I've read, is a poverty area. And whenever there's poverty, hopelessness, those kind of things, you're gonna have crime. So what can you do in a poverty area to get these crimes down? So, but anyway, so we're gonna go to the next video, which is the new chief. I want you to hear what he has to say. There's it feels different to me, but we'll see. It feels different approach. Nothing against Chief Ben Raymond and what he's done. Like I said, it's under his watch, so you just fall on his sword. We'll see what this other chief says, Chief Smith. His approach to me seems like he's trying to bring community together and reestablish a relationship. If that's possible, we'll see. But we'll see what you're thinking.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great honor and a privilege to stand here today to accept this great responsibility. I proudly accept the opportunity to work and lead a team whose primary mission is to provide for safety and the well-being of our wonderful community. Thank you, God Almighty, for this privilege to serve. My care, my concern for this community is unwavering and unconditional. Thank you, Mayor Perkins, CEO Whitehorn, for the confidence in my leadership ability. I promise to lead this organization with a team effort in a direction that will ensure positive results in reducing the crimes and fears of our community. Thank you, Chief Ben Raymond, for your years of dedicated service and leadership. I'm proud to serve with you. To the City Council members and all of those who are in elected positions or who are elected to serve, I pray for your support and confidence as we move forward to serve and protect our community against the evils of lawlessness. I promise to work tirelessly and with a great need for urgency toward peace and safety throughout our entire community by ensuring that the Shreveport Police Department delivers the best quality of law enforcement services possible. I will foster an atmosphere of good communication that seeks your invaluable wisdom and insight. I truly believe that all of us working together in concert with our neighborhoods can address our community needs. I'm committed to serving with pride, integrity, transparency, and compassion. I ask for your confidence and support as we work together to reduce the violent crimes and the fears of becoming victims of crimes in our community. Together with the community, we will embark on a mission that's going to include greater police presence in our neighborhoods and areas that are greater at risk for violent crimes occurring. Enhanced partnerships with other agencies to bring additional presence and enforcement to our communities. Enhanced community policing efforts to strengthen our relationships, the relationships between the police officers and the neighborhoods in which they patrol. enhance recruitment efforts. We will intensify and expand our efforts to recruit, train, and retain only the best candidates possible. We will never sacrifice quantity for quality. Great accountability at all levels of operation. And to my fellow police officers, I'm proud to serve the citizens of this city along with you. Much is going to be required of us, but together we will rise to the occasion. Thank you, Mayor Perkins. I will begin this process by leading from the front today. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the new chief, and to me, it feels like there's a difference, and nothing against the other chief, nothing against Chief Ben Raymond. I'm sure he did the best he could. It's a tough situation. Who knows what to do in this situation? But I do like what the new chief was saying. You know, he talks about teamwork, he talks about accountability. I thought it was honorable that he had mentioned proud to work alongside of Ben Raymond in his new position. Proud, he used the word proud. That's a powerful word, proud. You know, it's not a fluff word. It's not, you know, looking forward to working with you. That's a fluff BS word. He says proud. It's like all these folks have a relationship, even though the situation is tough. And I think Ben Raymond can do, reason why he can step down to a different position, take a month off, but step down to a different position, because he has the support of police. He has the support of the mayor. There's a support basis there. There's something there. He doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to stop, and they want to win. They want to win on this thing. So it's an interesting dynamic. I'm sure that's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but it is an interesting dynamic. This new chief, he talks about the relationships between the police and the community, so important. That's what I was talking about earlier. And he also talks about, you know, they're going to work with other police departments, but they also need to, you know, to police these areas, put more presence in these areas. But he also talks about candidates. You know, they want the top candidates, which is so important to have that in the police department. I know they're short, but it's so important to have that, because a problem can be and is candidates that are police that don't need to be a police officer. They're not committed. They're in it for the wrong reasons. They abuse that power. That's the last thing you need in this situation. So, I mean, all these are important points to have. So I have a feeling that the way they're going in this direction, I think it's going to make a difference. This dramatic change shows the community. And like I said, Ben Raymond says, you can't blame me. And he could be right. Don't know. But this dramatic change in leadership sends a message to the community, and maybe they feel like they can trust. We'll see. I think it's going to work, though. So it's just an interesting dynamic to see these leaders together, to see this unfold. And so my hope and my belief is that this will work. And I do like how police, you know, have you noticed things are so different now with the police and mayors and governors and police chief and police in general? Have you noticed that they're trying to be very accountable of themselves? So in this situation with Ben Raymond, you know, maybe 5 years ago, you know, they wouldn't have thought of replacing him. And, you know, this, like he said, maybe, and he'd be like, it's not my fault, and maybe they just go with that. But today they're trying to be accountable, just in their part of what they can do. And that's the difference. And so I think that's pretty interesting and amazing, actually. So that's all I have on that one. Peace and hope, everyone. This one.